Oh gosh, is it gonna? Oh no, it's muted already. Right, here we go. Okay, I think we're live.
Awesome.
Excellent. Okay, well, hello everybody. My name is Alison Morn, and today with me I have the fabulous Aston Wade, who is the under-21 golf croquet world champion 2023. Congratulations and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Alison. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. Now I can confirm that we have 13. Oh no, we've lost a couple. 10 people. Sorry, 10 people, and Patricia has already said hello. So say hi to Patricia. Hello.
Hello, Patricia.
Now let's get cracking straight on with question number one. How does it feel to be a world champion?
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. I think I did a fairly good job of staying calm, or at least visibly calm, during the final. But if you talk to anyone who was standing in the clubhouse watching, when I came back in after game 4, I was soaking wet and shivering, but smiling like a Cheshire cat. And I still am. So still very happy about it. Yeah.
I think it was Sonia on the commentary who said, we've just watched a world championship final in a cyclone.
Yeah, quite a special feeling. Yeah.
That was a bit different, but well done for persevering. I have to just say, I think it's, good old-fashioned British weather that got you into the spirit of that, I reckon. You've had practice.
Yeah, there was some chat about it on the Hitt Inn beforehand, and Louise said it can't possibly be worse than what you played Stu in at Budley, and it was. But, it took me back to England for a bit, so that was nice.
Well, Hampsworth Croquet Club are just saying they're so proud of you on the chat.
Oh,
along with many of us. Hello, Tony. Tony's saying hello. Tony Elliott.
Hi, Tony.
We are all so very proud of you. I think it's amazing what you have achieved. I mean, we can't go past your also 2 recent achievements in the last couple of years: Europeans champion 2022 and Opens champion 2021.
Yep.
But you've only been playing 5 minutes. How did you do this?
Yeah, pretty much. So I basically entered my first tournaments in 2020, B-levels, handicap sort of stuff. And yeah, really 2021, just started playing some very good stuff. GC came quite naturally. So I started out with AC, which we can talk about a bit later. But yeah, GC really clicked, got the tactics quite quickly. And yeah, that's been going pretty well ever since.
Okay, let's start talking a little bit more about you. Where did you come from? How do you even know about croquet?
So I started playing when I was at school. I was probably about 13, just a ropey garden lawn with some friends. But we had a teacher who learned to play when he was at Oxford, so taught us proper association croquet rules. As with most things, I got quite competitive, so decided to join a club one summer back in 2018, and that was Hampsworth, who have just said hi on the chat.
They did.
So while I'm talking about Hampsworth, I would say that they were absolutely fantastic, just so welcoming, really supportive, and I have a lot to thank them for the start of my croquet journey. So it's nice that they're still here watching me. And yeah, I mean, I played quite a bit over those couple of summers, and then got into some tournaments in 2020, realised I was actually quite decent, and yeah, just got addicted to it.
Well, let's talk about your first tournament. It's something that comes up quite a lot when I meet new croquet players, and they might be nervous, or they don't know what to enter. You fancy giving it a go. How do you find your first tournament? Can you just talk to us about your experience? How did you find your first tournament? Literally, where did you go to look for a tournament, and who introduced you to tournament play, and what was it like going to that first tournament?
So my very first tournament was actually at the end of 2019. It was the National Schools and Juniors. So that was quite good because I actually went along with my school, so knew some people there. It was quite a good introduction. Also knew Eugene Chang, who was running it at the time. Absolutely brilliant chap. But yeah, I went along to that. I was reasonably good for, I was probably about 17, but came across a chap called James Galpin, and I got crunched up. He was very good. Probably should talk about James actually, because I watched him play on the live stream back in 2019 for the under-21 Worlds in Nottingham, and he was just awesome. So watching that event was one of the things that inspired me to start entering tournaments. And back then I just thought, wouldn't it be cool if one day you could play in an under-21 World Championship? So to have won it is quite special. But yeah, that was my first ever tournament. And then in 2020, entered some stuff in between lockdowns. Started out with B-level series GC events, and then just various handicap AC things. There weren't a lot of tournaments going on nearby because of COVID at the time. So it was just, whatever worked for a weekend that I could get to, or my parents could take me to. And yeah, good opportunity to travel around, start meeting some players.
Let's talk about your parents. You brought them up.
Okay,
I'm just
fine.
Following your lead.
Yep.
Your parents don't often come to your tournaments, do they?
No, they don't.
And did they watch the final of the World Championship?
They actually didn't, no. So my sister watched the live stream of it, but my parents were too nervous to even watch the live stream.
Oh.
I don't like them coming to tournaments because I get a little bit nervous of them watching. So they're very good and they'll go off and do their own thing. But I call them at the end, tell them how it went, and they're always incredibly proud. And they came along to the dinner at the end, which was lovely to have them there for that. So yeah, they're just incredibly supportive, always have been, and I wouldn't have even made it to New Zealand without them. So yeah, I can't thank them enough.
Oh, I have to admit, I've spoken with your parents once or twice, and they are absolutely fabulous, and so proud of you. They really are. And I think they were so encouraging right from the word go. I was there when they brought you along into the Opens, which is when they had the first next gen tournament, and you came along and your dad stood there, and I stood there watching you play next to him, and the whole time, and both of us were beaming, because to me it's great to see new young players coming in. Let's talk about young players.
Okay.
So the under-21s has been really successful. Recent years, I don't actually know how long it's been going.
I think we've had 5 of them now, started back in 2009, maybe around that time.
This standard is incredible.
Yeah.
Watching the live stream, you wouldn't know if it didn't say there in writing it was the under-21s, you would just think it was the World Championship with that kind of standard of play, except obviously they do look rather young for croquet players, but it is amazing to watch. And I just think, how is that standard, how is it happening? Is it all the young players pushing each other and pushing each other?
I think that's definitely a part of it, yeah. So if you look at New Zealand, there were 17 of them playing, which was over half the tournament. And they've got a great junior program there, where a lot of the schools get involved. So I think there were a group of boys from Kashmir Croquet Club in New Zealand, who were all very good because, they just go play, practice together, push each other to get better. So that's definitely a part of it that helps. But yeah, I was really impressed by the standard of everyone throughout that tournament.
I remember in the under-21 GC at Nottingham, because I came along just for one day to watch. Was that 2018? Did you say
2019? Yeah.
19. So I went along for one day to watch, and I mean, the New Zealand contingency was amazing. Then there was, you know, quite a few of them that came over. What impressed me the most was the supportiveness between the players themselves. Everyone is fiercely competitive. We know that, we can see that. But off the lawn, everybody from all the countries was welcoming. You welcomed each other's play, you congratulated each other. You know, it was just such a nice, good, fun spirit in the game. And I just think that's got to keep you going. You go to a tournament like that and you got to think, yeah, this is the sport for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was probably the best part of the tournament, was being able to meet all these new young players. They were all really lovely. So yeah, really looking forward to hopefully playing a lot of them at more events in the future. But I think if you go to any croquet tournament, just everyone there is really quite welcoming and friendly. And as much as I love playing croquet, I wouldn't play it if I didn't like the people, and the people are amazing. So yeah.
I you know me, I totally agree. I love croquet players. It's it's a great place to be. Yeah, I want to talk about Forsey.
Okay.
He was a favorite going into this. We all knew that because Chris Clark had done his kind of pre-tournament commentary, so we knew what to look out for already. Chris had already said that he thought you were one of the front runners. Forsey was there, he was up there. When we finally got to watch him play, he's quite a force, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd never seen him play before the event. It was actually quite unusual for both the first and the second seed of the tournament to actually end up in the final. But yeah, he was really good. Didn't drop a game until the semis. So I played him and he'd won all bar one game. So really strong performance. I played some very good shots in the final and he just replied with even better shots. And I was like, that's just not fair. So yeah, he was really good. Gave me an amazing battle and I had to play incredibly well to beat him. And yeah, swing of luck sometimes, but brilliant final. Any other day could have gone the other way. So
I have to say that final, we watched it. Everybody watched it. We watched it from here, and obviously we were cheering you on. Again, I've got to mention the standard of that final. It was amazing. And you're right, he came back again and again, and he kind of stuck with you. I mean, forget about it being a final. When somebody does that and they just keep hitting back, it's so frustrating. I can't even cope with that in a club day, let alone on a final day. How do you cope with that on the lawn?
It is tough. Yeah, you have to slightly put it out of your mind and say, okay, I don't care what he's doing. I'm going to play my good shots. And if I do that, I can win. You know, at 13 in game 4, after he hit that shot from the south boundary, he just carried on hitting. And, you know, it was really torrential rain at that point, and I was just like, I want to go in. So yeah, he very nearly had me in that game, and he was pushing very hard. Got slightly unlucky at the end. I cut him to a partially wide position. He missed one shot, and that was all it took. But yeah, he was a real fighter right to the end, and it is hard when your opponent is playing that well, to just get on with it and kind of reset, do your own thing. But yeah, just trying to take that out of your mind is something I've been working on. And yeah, I think, as I say, I stayed reasonably calm during that final, and that's always important.
I actually, I can't remember who it was, but somebody mentioned on the commentary, they mentioned about your temperament and how you were calm. You were just, and it's lovely to watch. And and it's actually quite what's the word? It's calming to watch. You know, if anyone watched me play, they'd just be on the edge of their seat thinking it's like a thriller or something.
Yeah.
You know, you're watching you, and it just flowed. It all worked. And yeah, the guy hit back. I mean, but you fought well, you fought harder and better.
Yeah.
And well, obviously you did it in the end. So yeah, I want to move on to practice and preparation. And so, because you just said this is something you've been working on, is I guess your mindset, what you're thinking about on the lawn. Alongside that, what sort of practice do you do on the lawn with your mallet in hand?
Okay, so in terms of practice for this particular tournament, I did not do enough, partly because it was out of season. So even if I had an opportunity to get away from university and go and practice, the lawns were quite often frozen or wet. So it actually wasn't possible to practice. I managed to fit in 3 sessions in the 2 weeks before flying out. And there I landed, got some practice in at Christchurch that afternoon after the 30-hour flight. I was like, okay, let's go do some practice. That actually went quite well. But then showed up to the tournament, and day one it was just really rusty. So, I kind of said to myself, okay, you got another 2 days blocks to just fix this. Fortunately, managed to regain some form in time for the knockout. So that all went well. But in terms of the things that I do actually practice, mainly it's positioning. So particularly at the start of the season, I find that's something which kind of is a bit hard to get back into. So I'll just play around the hoops quite a lot. Also, 7-yarders are absolutely key in golf croquet. If you can hit 7-8 yards 90% of the time, then you're going to be doing really well. So just making sure I'm confident with those. Again, that's something that wasn't quite working earlier on in the tournament, but got back on form later on. And the other thing which I did quite well in the final was back ball control. So hitting clearances and keeping your ball in a good position. So that's something I probably haven't practiced enough, but seeing how well that worked for me in the final, that's something I'm going to be practicing more. So yeah, those are the kind of key things for golf croquet. Obviously hoop running as well. The hoops we used in New Zealand were quadways, so slightly different to the ones we have here. Took a bit of adjusting to, but I have played on those before. AC practice, very much different. I haven't done any of that over winter, so I will be getting back into that before tournaments start in a couple of months' time. But yeah, I do think practice is important, so I try and do as much of that as possible when I can. That's really the ideal way of improving my game. When I'm actually playing tournaments, I don't really like trying new things because I'm trying to win. So if I do something random and it doesn't work, then I'm not going to be too pleased with myself. So yeah, just getting out on the lawn for a few hours and trying some new things, seeing what works, I think it's good fun and really quite helpful.
So I am guessing that you haven't come up with all of this on your own. Somebody somewhere is helping you. Are we allowed to ask who?
You can ask who. There are lots of people, to be honest. So yeah, right from the moment I joined a club, loads of the guys at Hamptworth were really helpful to rush and provide me with some coaching. Since then, I mean, I can't name everyone, but I will name some people. I'd say Lionel Tibble was really great when I was starting out. He ran the summer school at Rest Park for some of the juniors. He played the British Open doubles with me back in 2021. We won the plate together. So that was really nice. His coaching was great. Rich Waterman, I'm going to name him, my Essex team captain, who has done a very good job of selections. He picked me up back in 2020. I was a handicap 4 at the time, improving quite quickly, but a bit useless when it came to county level. So for him to get me on board with the team was really great. I got to play with Rob Fulford the following year. So doing a TP with him in the counties is still one of my favourite croquet memories. So that was great. Who else can we thank? Lots of people. most recently Chris Clark. So he was there for me throughout the Under-21 Worlds. And as I said in my winner's speech at dinner, I could not have asked for anyone better to be there supporting me. So massive thank you to Chris for that.
So Chris has become quite the mentor for you. What does it mean to have a mentor, somebody there that's going to go through things, after a tournament with you and kind of look back, reflect? Is it worth other people trying to find a mentor? We can't all get the Chris Clarks, but there will be, senior players at clubs. I always wonder, is it worth people approaching their clubs and to say, would anyone look to be a mentor? Because I think that process could be quite helpful in improving a person's game, not just young people, in anyone's game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Chris is obviously a much better player than me. So it's great to have him there. But even if it's someone of your kind of own ability, just have a different set of eyes, seeing what's going on. They'll probably pick out some things you didn't actually consider in the middle of a game. So, I could come off the lawn and go and talk to Chris about some things that he'd picked up on, which I'd probably missed. So yeah, just having anyone there to, watch and give some feedback is really great. And, that's definitely been one of the key things that's helped me to improve.
One of the things you said a minute ago was about Rob Fulford, and you were partnering him in the counties. So that's for Essex. Now, I am a huge advocate of alternate stroke doubles. Did you play alternate stroke or did you just play normal doubles?
We played alternate stroke. Definitely a fan of it. So if you remember, we talked about that next gen event that you and Eugene were at back in 2018. So that was run at Cheltenham. I think it was the Open that we had that in combination with. So what we did was played some doubles, the junior players, with the top players that were playing at the Open in between their rounds. And so for them to be going around the lawn with us playing alternate strokes was really great. I mean, they could fix all my errors. Rob was great at that. I played a useless rush. He'd play a gorgeous hoop approach to put me 3 inches in front. It's like, thank you. So yeah, it's just a really great, fun way of learning playing alternate strokes.
I think it's an amazing thing, and it is you learn all sorts from playing alternate stroke, you good and bad. Because if somebody is with you and they do something bad, you have to then try and fix it.
Yep.
And so all of these things that come out of it, I think, can be quite helpful. So let's talk about, you are a dual code player. So both association croquet and golf croquet. Go on, what's your favorite?
So I actually prefer AC as a game.
Oh, yeah.
I play more GC because I'm better at it and I like to win. But as a game, I do prefer AC, and I'm definitely keen to try and improve that as much as possible over the coming years.
I'm amazed you answered.
It's one man's opinion, but it'll probably surprise people to hear that I took up GC as a way of improving my AC. So I thought, okay, I'll play a bit of GC. It'll probably help my shooting, and it has helped my shooting. But I really quickly got the hang of GC, whereas my feeling with AC is it takes quite a bit longer, a bit more experience to actually get to the top level at. So still getting there with AC, but hopefully one day.
Are you going to be playing in the Worlds?
I am going to be playing the AC Worlds. So very excited for that this summer.
Sorry. That would be a cat.
Sorry. Oh, wonderful.
It's live, it happens. And so when you're playing in the Worlds, will you be having a mentor around then?
I probably won't have a specific mentor just for me, but I'm sure all the other England players will be happy to give me some advice, as they will to each other. I'm probably not a massive threat for this world. So, they can give me some advice without too much fear. But yeah, as I say, it's really that kind of collaborative aspect at all croquet tournaments, even at a world championships, which is really nice.
I'm not sure they wouldn't consider you a threat, actually. And I think from past experience, in 2021, I'm pretty sure there were some guys going into the opens going, oh, this is going to be my year, and this Aston somebody comes rocking up and takes the win.
Yeah, half the people there probably hadn't even heard of me at that tournament. So yeah, it was quite nice to be an underdog and just show up and surprise people.
Am I allowed to say bandit?
You can do. Yeah.
Rapid improvers.
We'll go with that.
So when you're preparing for the AC Worlds, or have you got something in between actually?
I've got a few things. So the next thing is going to be the GC test match against Spain. So that's coming up at the end of March in Madrid. We lost that one last year, so hopefully get the opposite result this time. But, first time going to play in Spain, so really excited for that. And then after that, hopefully the European Championships, again, GC. So see if I can defend my title for that one. And then, various smaller tournaments, but the AC Worlds is going to be the big one this year.
It sounds incredibly busy. But yeah, going from golf croquet to association croquet, how do you make that transition? Because, okay, obviously you hold a mallet, it's on a lawn, there's 6 hoops and a peg in the middle, although that's pretty pointless for golf croquet, obviously. So there's many things that are similar, but they are very different games, different mindsets.
Yeah.
Do you find it easy to switch, or is there something you can do to help you move from one code to the other?
I think you've kind of nailed it in that the mindset has got to be different between GC and AC. So AC, you can find yourself winning with a series of really easy shots. That doesn't tend to happen in GC. You're going to have to hit some good shots. And, I will walk up to 7-yarders and get really quite nervous when I'm playing GC. Whereas I can finish break in AC and not panic about anything. So yeah, just kind of getting used to those different mindsets definitely takes some time. But in terms of physical skills, I don't think there's kind of any major differences. Obviously, you've got your croquet strokes, which want their own practice. But I mean, just the key skill of swinging the mallet, playing both codes, it is going to help each other. Really just playing any type of croquet.
I think it's I do completely understand that both codes can help with each other, because at the end of the day, if you can hit a 7-yarder in one and you can hit a 7-yarder in the other, both are going to get you into a better position, aren't they?
Yeah.
Equally running hoops. However, one you need to run a hoop and the other it's with a lot more control.
Yeah, it will frustrate some AC players when I just approach a hoop, give myself a 2-yarder, slam it through to the boundary and carry on. But yeah, if you can run hoops with control in AC, that makes the game so much easier. And similarly in GC, if you can run hoop 1 with control to get in front of hoop 2, that's brilliant. So obviously slightly harder than you want to run a hoop in AC, but getting used to running those hoops confidently with control, you do want in both codes.
I find it so impressive that you're so mature in your in croquet. How do you know what you're talking about?
I've played quite a bit, given I've only been playing for 3 years. And as I said, I've had a lot of coaching from a lot of fantastic players. Now that we're on to AC, I should mention Hitt Inn. So he's been giving me some coaching. He's also always on hand to chat through anything. So yeah, he's been working with some of the other junior players, I think Ewan and Callum, to try and see if he can bring us up to potential MAC players for the future. So that's really very good of him. And yeah, enjoyed working with him.
So that's an interesting thing. You've just mentioned Mac. So this is something that you're going to be focusing on?
I wouldn't necessarily say focusing on, but it's definitely a goal that I have in mind. So I would hope to be playing the Openshaw Shield, so the World Team Championships for golf croquet. The McRob, I think is it 2026, the next one?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Year after the Openshaw.
Yeah, so got a bit of time for that. Whether it's enough time to reach that level, I don't know, but certainly at some stage, I am aiming to hopefully get into the McRobertson Shield team. So yeah, playing both World Team Championships in both codes is definitely one of those aims that I have now.
It'd be very impressive as a title, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
On the Hall of Fame, that would be quite cool.
Yeah,
so
one isn't enough.
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about other young players. What advice do you have for, let's just say, some random I don't know, 16-year-old has found this video on YouTube and gone, what is this about? What is this croquet? You know, so they kind of have a little Google and think, you know, I might like to have a go. What's your advice?
Give it a go. Yeah, it's a really good sport. I play a lot of other sports, but there's nothing which I'm particularly good at. You know, I enjoy squash, tennis, badminton. I can get around a golf course, but you know, not high level at anything. Croquet just clicked. I really like the tactical side of it. I play chess as well, so you know, kind of an overlap there. But yeah, give it a go. Find a local club. As I keep saying, everyone in croquet is super welcoming. So yeah, I'm sure you'll meet some great people. And yeah, if you can get involved with some of the junior programs that we're hopefully going to be running, that would be really good. As I say, New Zealand has a brilliant junior program, and because they have lots of young players, you know, it's easy to get more young players to come in and play. We're in a bit of a rut in the UK at the moment where it's hard to get young players to play because there aren't other young players playing. But it is encouraging to see a lot of clubs doing some work with schools through the Duke of Edinburgh. Is quite a good way of getting schools involved. Also at university, we have a croquet society here in Exeter, which is actually quite popular, probably because it's more about drinking than croquet. But you know, even so, people know what it is, they play. So yeah, any clubs that are keen to get schools involved, that's a really great way of doing it. If you can bring in juniors who then go and play with their friends. As much as I'm happy playing with people that probably have an average age of 50, I'd probably prefer to play with younger players, and that's why the Under-21 Worlds was such fun. So yeah, if you can get groups of juniors in together, that's a really good way of doing it.
I think it's worth noting for anyone out there that is watching this, the Croquet Association in the UK does have a like a next generation development officer, and they that their position is to be there and talk about youth croquet. And so it's definitely worth getting in touch if there's anyone out there. If you've got family members, youngsters in your family that fancy giving it a go, you know, please take them to the lawns, because it's so, you know, it's so much fun. Do you know what age do you think you could I mean, I've coached a 7-year-old before,
Yeah.
and she was doing a you know, break within, I think, 3 weeks. We did an alternate stroke 6-hoop break,
Nice.
AC. You know, she was pretty amazing. But I think, you know, that was sort of the exception. What age do you think would be a sort of a good age to be introduced to croquet?
So I started when I was 13. I think that was a pretty good age. As you say, I mean, you can start at 7. I think Ewan Burridge started playing when he was 8. So yeah, perfectly possible. I probably started playing in the garden when I was about 9 or 10. But yeah, kind of any age range, it works. You probably don't want to be playing golf croquet or AC if you're 7, but picking up a mallet, knocking a ball around the lawn, getting through some hoops, that's perfectly possible.
definitely. I have a question here. It's from Tony. Tony Elliott, and he says, Aston, do you have any particular preference practice routines for AC? If you're planning to play more TPs, maybe.
Yes, I am planning to play more TPs. That is definitely
So
something.
what's the sort of thing that you might practice that would build up to that?
So my standard leave is a diagonal spread. So if I want to practice TP, I will just go and put the balls in a position where I've done a nice diagonal spread and try and pick up the TP from there. I mean, normally I'll kind of just work until I get the first peel just to get it going. And then, once you're confident with that, you can start trying to run through the whole TP. Obviously, if you prefer a different leave, then go set up your normal leave and just see how far you can get going with that. If you actually break down the TP into the various bits, you can maybe just set it up partway through and work on that particular area. Otherwise, if you're just trying to play a whole TP, you probably end up doing the first third of it and then break down at some point. And if you're just practicing that first third, you're never going to get the whole TP. So yeah, just setting it up at various points and saying, okay, let's do the next part from here. It's probably quite a good way of doing it.
So
I'm not a TP expert, so
No, I think it's good advice. I think breaking down, the TP, clearly there are certain aspects of the triple peel, and I think you can break it down into chunks, a little bit like you break anything down that you're learning. If you're learning a poem, or if you're learning a music piece, yeah, you would break down and do that little bit over and over again, and then join those sections up together. So I think that you can offer that up with triple peel practice. Certainly when I was attempting learning how to peel, the actual peel itself is clearly a good thing to practice.
Yes, fair enough. Yeah.
Which of course a lot of people, they sort of don't think about. And I certainly didn't. There was me merrily, doing my little routine all the way around, but blobbing every peel. And it was somebody that said to me, but Alison, do you actually practice that shot, the peel? Oh, good point.
Yeah.
So I think, that's probably something that might be worth doing, obviously from different angles.
Yeah, different angles. If you play it as a stop shot, it's obviously easier, but sometimes you might have to play it as a split roll. So, just playing it from different positions as different types of croquet stroke, and just, getting used to the pool and how the balls react. Definitely something that's worth practicing.
Are you a scientist? Do you actually know how to work it out, or a mathematician?
I'm doing medical sciences, so not a lot of physics.
Okay. Because there's a lot of work that's been done about the pool, and if you're bright, you can actually go away and read it. I'm not. I feel like I should just go with the flow, see what happens.
Yeah. I'd rather go and play the stroke on a croquet lawn than read a textbook about how pool works, to be honest. So yeah.
Actually, that's really interesting. So there's a lot of books out there.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's the most recent, one of the most recent is beyond
expert croquet tactics.
Yeah.
Right, give me a sec.
I've got it somewhere on a shelf. There we go. Yeah. So that, I think that is, if you can read, and learn. I know a lot of people find it difficult, but I think that is one for people of a certain level that probably have come through their, started to think about triple peels, started to think about that further expertise on the lawn. For association croquet, that's definitely one to learn. And I'm pretty sure a golf croquet book has just come out from Ian.
Yes, so Ian Burridge has just written a GC book, which again I have somewhere in this room, which I could probably pull out if you like. But yeah, I do find it's helpful to read through these books. Stephen Custance Baker also produced some GC tactics books, which I read, I think that was probably about 1 or 2 years ago. So yeah, obviously you want to combine it with actually talking to someone that can show you around the lawn. But I do find these books quite helpful.
Do you know, it's really interesting. So these books have been written by top class croquet players, world class croquet players, really. Yeah. And I actually love our sport for this reason, because these players are willing to give their expertise. They don't do this for profit. I'm pretty sure any profit goes to, the Croquet Association or back into croquet, because we're such a small sport. But it just shows what an amazing sport we are, where we can come in, be in the sport for 4 or 5 years, be playing at this sort of level, the top level, if you put the work in, and be mentored by past world champions.
Yeah. It's very cool.
It's very cool. The friendships that you can make in croquet, the mentors, everybody is, well, basically amazing, aren't they?
Yeah.
We're very lucky.
Yep, definitely.
Well, I think that's probably the end of our chat today.
All right.
Thank you so much. I do want to say one last thing. Can we see the shiny stuff?
You can see the shiny stuff. I don't have the trophy. Okay. That's being sent over to me in its box from New Zealand. So hopefully that'll be here soon. But that plate there is the plate from the World Championships.
It's very shiny.
Yeah. So I get to keep that one, which is nice. And I've got the medal here for you as well. So it's in its little box.
Oh, gorgeous. Well done. Amazing. Amazing. Well, it's been fabulous to talk to you. Thank you so much. And thank you for being such an inspiration to our juniors here. We don't have a big program. We haven't to this point had a huge program for juniors, but I'm sure it's coming. And with players like you bringing home the trophies, I know that you'll encourage others to want to play in these events, to want to get better. I know that you've gone and done some talks with some of the juniors. I can't in High Wycombe.
Yes, that's right.
And you kind of done some sort of training with them. I mean, I don't think it's everything. We still want to get lots of people into croquet. People, other sports people, for example, would make great croquet players. But I love the idea that we can bring some youth into the game and get you some drinking buddies.
Perfect. It's really nice to see other young players like those at High Wycombe coming through. So yeah, I really enjoy working with other young players. And yeah, as I said about the players at the Under-21 Worlds, hopefully I'll go on to play a lot of them in the future at the Open Worlds.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to seeing you at all the events in the future. I don't look forward to coming up against you on the lawn, though.
You've got an okay record against me, haven't you?
I'll do my best. I'll do my best. Well, thank you very much. And we'll say bye to everybody.
All right. Goodbye,
everyone. Bye, everybody. And see you all next time. And if anyone has any requests of podcasts or interviews or anything really that you fancy listening to, then please let me know and I'll do my best to provide what I can. Okay, take care, everybody.